When there's a job description and expectations, I want somebody who can be accountable. Here's the word accountable. To have the ability to be able, right? The ability to account for something. If you don't have accountability over your mayors, get out. If your mayors aren't accountable and no one is holding them accountable, get out.
Order, obviously, in the Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just...
Local folks are going to have to figure it out. Nonchalant, shoo away body language. As leaders, you need to understand. Hey, welcome to the Relevant Development Podcast. I am your host, Juan Alvarado. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are leaders supposed to lead during time of chaos, in time of need? What are leaders supposed to do? What are they supposed to say? And unfortunately, this podcast is coming at, I hate to say a perfect time, at a timely scenario with the fires happening in LA. And I want to discuss the things that are being said and not being said from people in leadership. So let's get right to it. I'm kind of comfortable today. If you could tell, those people watching on YouTube, no shoes today, just socks. Just chill. I'm at my house. I don't work where you work. All right, so let's get into it. And I'll put some of this stuff on the feed. See if you can hear some of this stuff. I'll probably put some of this stuff in once I edit. But you'll probably be seeing some things on your feed, news, people sharing stuff. But for those of you who don't know, you're probably living under a rock by now. But there are major fires happening in Los Angeles County. And there are a lot is being said and a lot is not being said. And it's troubling because we vote people in leadership positions. Some people are hired in leadership positions. And we're not going to get into, this is a DEI hire, and how come these people are doing this, and how come those people are hired and not these people. That's not what this podcast is about. You can try to come at me in the comments and say that's what it is. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what leadership can and should do, and what they're not doing, what's being said, what's not being said. How do we as leaders raise up in time of crisis and time of need? Let me just say this before we fully get started. It is our human nature to always want to connect the dots. We always want to connect the dots. We're going to talk about some stuff a little bit real quick that is a little controversial. Any type of, I don't know what I can say and what I can't say I know what I can say and can't say for Spotify, but I'm trying to make this YouTube friendly too. There's been some incidences that have happened where people are not alive anymore. We'll put it that way. Whether at schools or whether at businesses. And what takes place is, who is it? Where are they from? How old were they? What sex were they? What gender were they? What affiliation do they have? What group were they a part of? And we always want to connect the dots. And we're not satisfied until we can connect the dots. And we go nuts when we cannot connect the dots. Take the incident that happened in Las Vegas from, I forget the hotel, but there was I believe a country concert that was happening, and we didn't know who did anything. We didn't have any information. It's nuts. In every other situation we've had, we've always been able to connect the dots. Our people in high-ranking places, whether it's police, FBI, CIA, they've always been able to piece things together fairly quickly. And that one, we were in shambles because nobody can connect the dots. It is our human nature to want to connect the dots. The attempt on our president, we wanted to connect the dots. Why do you think the number one podcasts or the most trending podcast niche is like murder mysteries, or people like to watch like First 48 or those type of things? Because it's this huge, oh my gosh, story, and then we connect the dots. Why do you think we go to movies and we have, oh my gosh, talk about a plot twist? Because we're so infatuated with connecting the dots. I think what we need even more than connecting the dots is assurance from our leaders that they have things in control. I think that's number one and number two. So the reason why I talk about we want to connect the dots is because everyone is saying right now during the fires, like, what's going on? There's no water in the fire hydrants. The mayor is on a trip to Africa and on her way back. Saw this one, and which to me, some of the stuff makes sense. We've had fires and the Santa Ana winds. So if you live in California, Los Angeles, you know what the Santa Anas are. Santa Ana is not necessarily the city. Everybody knows the Santa Anas is referring to the winds. We've had this forever. So how come we are not prepared for this? Let me tell you that. Let me run something by you. If somebody was to get, their house was to get robbed, and let's say they didn't have a whole lot of money, they would put up security lights or a sensor light, probably the cheapest, get a quote unquote fake sign that they have a security system. They would get a dog or put a beware dog sign. So the cheapest thing that you can do is get a fake yard sign that says that you have a security system, put up a light, security light, maybe get a dog. The next step would be to get a security system. And a lot of people do that, right? Your car gets broken into. You're like, I'm not going to park in this side of town anymore. I'm going to get an alarm for my car, whatever. And you take the necessary steps that it takes to take care of yourself, right? What's the whole saying? And it's funny because I like the song on J. Cole's thing with President Bush, but fool me once, shame on you, shame on me. Fool me twice, you can't fool me again. But we all know the saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, I have to get stuff done. I have to make adjustments. We have fires every single year, just like other parts of the country. We have hurricanes and tornadoes every single year. But look how they prepare for that stuff. The sirens, the metal doors, the covering of the windows. Yes, they have some notification, but there's a season for this stuff. People are going to want to blame it, again, connecting the dots, on climate change and this and that, to each their own. But this is what I want to talk about. Besides connecting the dots and what our human minds want, we always seem to want to blame something. And there is some blame. Don't get me wrong. There is some blame. But I saved some stuff on my Instagram because I wanted to be able to talk about it. And I want you to listen to some of these things and then see if I can do this, because I don't know if I have it in any particular order. But let's see. So let's go with Gavin Newsom first, and let's see what he says in this video.
Water, obviously,
and in this video,
reason we pre-position.
In this video, I think what's his name? Cooper is talking to Gavin Newsom about what took place on CNN.
obviously in Palisades ran out last. What is the situation with water? Obviously in Palisades ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's going to be determined by the local.
So if you guys didn't have that completely, it says, what is the situation with the water? Palisades ran out last night. It says this fire team left and this fire team left because the fire hydrants run out of water. And Newsom's first response is, the local folks are going to have to figure that out. Imagine in your workplace, somebody says, you have staff that keep on coming in late. You have staff that told off a customer. You have a staff that, well, you know what? That location is going to have to figure it out. That answer is not doable. So here's my take on the whole Gavin Newsom thing. Like him or love him, as the governor of the state of California, what I want for him to do, and what I want any leader to do, is take ownership. You know what? I'm going to talk to whoever's in charge, and he should know who's in charge, but the mayor of this city. I'm going to talk to the local whomever, and I'm going to get to the answer of it. There's no excuses why these fire hydrants ran out of water, or why we don't have something on deck. And there's another video that he talks about, and we'll get to it in a second, that we're bringing all these resources in, or we're trying to bring resources in. But the first thing is, he says, I don't know, the locals are going to have to figure this one out. No, you are in charge. You are in charge. That's what you should be doing. There should be a checklist. And this is one of the things I get upset about with like organizations and companies that have end of the year reviews. By the end of the year, it is too damn late to find out what your staff and your organization is doing right and what they're doing wrong. One of the past podcasts that I had with Juan, I'm trying to think of his last name, but it's the HR episode. And he says we shouldn't rely on exit interviews. We should have stay interviews. I don't want to know why you're leaving. I want to talk to the staff of why you are here. I don't want to know the issues that we're having when it's too late. I want you to check in with what we have now. Go check the fire hydrants. How much water is in there? What's the capability? We've had fires for years. This happens every single year. So how come you're not prepared? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Why is it that we're not more prepared? Every single year, yes, we might drop the ball somewhere, but that ball should not be dropped the following time. This is what we call CQI, continuous quality improvement. Who's in charge? And if you haven't done that, sorry, you're out. Like, again, whether you want to call it a DEI hire and all those people that are arguing that and this and that about who should be hired in these situations, here's my take. When there's a job description and expectations, I want somebody who can be accountable. I want my governor to be accountable. I want my president to be accountable. I want my mayors to be accountable. And here's the word accountable: to have the ability to be able, right? The ability to account for something. Who's in charge? The locals are going to have to figure that out. The local what? How about you figure it out? If you as a governor if you don't have accountability over your mayors, get out. If your mayors aren't accountable and no one is holding them accountable, get out. Accountability is huge. Oh, but I'm afraid what they're going to say and I don't want to piss people off. No, hold people accountable. We do this in sports all the time. Yeah, Juan, it's sports, not firefighters. Okay, but we still hold people accountable. When something happens with a police department and something happens with their police officers, they hold people accountable. People get fired. People get let go. Police chiefs get let go. They get fired. There has to be accountability. And why does accountability stop once you get so high? It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. The locals are going to have to figure this stuff out. No, sorry. I want to know that. And here's the other thing that we'll talk that I want to talk about is body language is everything. In a leader, I want my leader to have strong vocal mastery and really good body language. Let me see if I can act this out. And you might be able to see this for the people who watch online. He says,
2 or 3 fires.
Water, obviously, in Palisades ran out last night in the hydrants. I was trying to firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just
local folks are going to have to figure it out. Nonchalant, shoo away body language. As leaders, you need to understand the body language that you have when you're speaking to your staff. Arms crossed, closed off. Maybe this is upset. Not using a finger to point. Maybe it's an open hand, or maybe you point to yourself. But this, waving of the hand. Well, the local officials are going to have to figure that out. Shoo away this problem. It's not my issue. It's not my problem. Body language and what you say means a heck of a lot. Leaders, again, don't get this whole podcast twisted on going on the chat and commenting about, oh, I love my governor, or I hate this governor. Cool. Awesome. This is about leadership. Where is the leadership? How do we show up as leaders in time of crisis? What you say in body language is huge. Let me go to this next one. I'll switch it up for people who are like, oh, you're all one-sided. Ready? Here we go.
To get Newsom to allow water.
And I don't know why this video is sped up, but it is.
I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous work.
So this is President Trump speaking, and it's sped up.
Trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish, which is in other areas, by the way, called the smelt. And for the sake of the smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. There's no reason. Can you imagine? You have farmers that don't have any water in California. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So what's happening in California is a true tragedy. I know those areas very well. I have many friends living in those houses. That is a true tragedy. Nobody ever thought. I mean, virtually Beverly Hills and areas around Beverly Hills are being decimated. The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just destroyed. I don't even know. You know, you talk about a tax base. If those people leave, you're going to lose half your tax base of California. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor. And you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water. And yet they have. The water comes from, where it's up north, and it comes down at levels. They give millions and millions of barrels of gallons of water that they have, and they send it out into the Pacific. For the Pacific, it's like a drop. It's nothing. But for California, we take care of the whole state. So what's happened is a tragedy, and the governor has not done a good job. With that being said, I got along well with him. When he was governor, we worked together very well, and we would work together. I guess it looks like we're going to be the one having to rebuild it. I've been trying to get Gavin.
All right. So here's this piece. President Trump does this a lot. He'll talk and he'll point fingers. Well, he's not doing a good job. There's no water in the fire hydrants. And he's doing it because he wants to protect this fish called the smelt. And that is factually true. You can go and there's video, archived video of Gavin Newsom. I saw another video, maybe I could find it, that he talks about, my daughters are really happy and, they're going to live for a long time and be happy to know that we took care of this fish. And there's a whole thing on how this fish needed less water and how they took water out. We live in the Central Valley, and there's a lot of farmers that we know who are upset because a lot of our water goes down south. And there's been videos and stuff that show that water that we send from Northern California, Central California, down south, your farmers aren't only allowed to have this little bit, send the rest down here, and then it gets put off into the ocean. We have seen it. We've heard farmers, if you go anywhere here and talk to the farmers, they talk about it. If you know any farmer here in Central Cali, they'll tell you about it. So not fact, not fake, real. Here's my problem with when President Trump does this, or President-elect Trump does this, is he talks about the issues. And I caught it the second time that I watched it. Didn't catch it the first time. But we can complain and we can point fingers, but what does that do? Again, some people want that. A lot of people want that, so we can connect the dots. Oh, there's no water in the fire hydrants, and who's to blame for that? And we're sending the water away, and we're trying to take care of these fish, and whose fault is that? And so we always want to point fingers. But what I want from our leaders, the president, the governor, the senators, principals, administrators, whomever, pick your leader. I want somebody to start talking about solutions. And he did a little bit. We're going to take care of that. He kind of roughly says, we're going to take care of that. We did it on the federal level on my side, but I'm going to make sure that they do it. I wish his thing would be like, you know what? We can point fingers all we want. And this is what I will tell Gavin Newsom. We are going to come up with a solution and an answer. And you are going to execute this solution and answer. And if you don't want to find out. Like put the people in place to make sure that these fires are taken care of a little bit more quickly, or a lot more quickly, that the water is done, that we take the water that we need and move it somewhere else if you want to take care of this fish or whatever. But be solution based. Oh, he's done this and he's done that, and okay, it's a little too late now, right? Why are we talking about this? We need to be speaking solutions, right? What's the saying? You can cry, don't cry over spilled milk. Clean it up. The more you cry about it and the more you sit there, the milk ain't going anywhere. The glass that you broke ain't getting picked up. Stop pointing fingers. Hey, there's this bad, the oven's on fire, the oven's on fire. And as you're going, you might be like, well, what the hell happened? Do something about it. Or is it bad? You might have questions. But as soon as you see it, leaders get into action. Leaders get into action. Think about the tragedy that happened in New Orleans. There's a video clip. As soon as you heard, pa, 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 and people screaming, there are police officers walking down the street on Bourbon Street, and they're turning a corner, and instantly they run towards the panic. That's leadership. I'm not asking questions. Hey, what did you hear? Did you hear that too? No, they're going, hey, whose fault is it? No, they just go. Leadership moves. No questions asked. Leaders move. There's a problem. We are the solution. Let me take a time out real quick. Thank you to all the people out there, the pilots, helicopter, plane, the firefighters, men or women, the police chiefs, the fire chiefs that are going over there, the people who volunteer all the time, who say, sign me up, like, let me go. The people that are coming from other parts of the state, people coming from other states. Thank you so much for being a leader. Thank you so much for being a leader. Thank you so much for being the solution. While others flee, you are running towards. That's bravery. That's being courageous. And I just want to say thank you, because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great leaders out there. I'm pointing out, what does bad leadership look like? Let's go to the next one.
I've been trying.
But there's a reason we pre-positioned hundreds of assets and personnel on Sunday in anticipation of this wind event. 110 engines specifically were sent down, 45 by CAL FIRE, 65 through our mutual aid system through the Office of Emergency Services, water tenders down here, 7 new helicopters we brought from Northern California down to Southern California. We just brought our C-130 down from Northern California. It already just had its first drop. By no stretch of the imagination are we out of the woods. You heard a chief say 10 p.m. tonight till 5 a.m. tomorrow will be peak winds. And having just quite literally an hour or so ago gone up the canyon and saw firsthand the impact of these swirling winds and the embers and the number of structures that are destroyed, not a few, many structures already destroyed, and the fact that people were still not evacuated, still did not heed the warning, were just coming down the canyon, is a reminder of how serious this moment is and how important it is you listen to these evacuation
A little bit more
orders.
heart in that conversation. He's talking about, right, we brought in 110 engines from this place and this place. So I'm talking about the solution. Like, this is what we did. Here's the next piece. Don't tell me what you did. Tell me what you're going to do. What's the plan? People want a plan, right? So we brought in this from this place. We brought in these things from this place. We brought in this from this place. Good. This is what people want to hear. What are the resources? What's happening? But people also want to know, that's the positive. Can we make a positive out of the negative? Again, we want accountability. As far as the fire hydrants not having water, I'm getting to the bottom of it. As far as budget, I'm going to make sure that all fire departments or police departments or schools have the right amount of money for situations like this, because of situations like this. People also wonder about, what about insurance? What about X? What about Y? What about Z? And my hope is that we can give as much money to those people in need here than we've given money away for things that maybe we shouldn't. I want a leader. Leaders need to be compassionate. And even though he does the solutions, right? Solution. Good job, leader. Good job, leader. Good job, leader. Then here comes the stab in the side. But we still have people not listening to evacuations things. The evacuation stuff, people are still there, barely leaving after all these places are burning up. Fire chief, I want you to send whatever amount of people, and I want you to evacuate. Not just tell them, help. Send vehicles and stuff, put stuff in. You have 5 minutes, boom, put stuff in the car, and then you take off. Next, go. It's my job as a father that if my home is on fire, to make sure that all of my family leave. All of my family leave. There's a video, maybe I can find it. I believe my wife sent it to me or showed me, but I think my sister sent it to me, of a guy that came across a house that was on fire. And I don't know if it had anything to do with this fire. I think it was an old one. And the guy goes in and pulls out like 5 or 6 children from this burning house that's not even his. And he's not even a firefighter. And then they say that there's another like 3-year-old inside the house, and he goes back in. He ends up having 3rd-degree burns, and he sacrificed himself to save this last child. Sometimes you just got to move. And I don't mean this in a violent way, and sometimes you have to be physical. In this case, there's a standard that we have, that you have at your work, and you can't be afraid to push the envelope. This is the standard. I'm going to make sure that everybody's safe. Like, you're not supposed to yell at somebody, right? You're not supposed to raise your voice at work at somebody. People do it all the time. But I would say, why couldn't you raise your voice a little bit and say, listen, we're not doing rumors anymore. Here's the key. If you're spreading rumors or you're not doing your work, you're getting the write-up and then you're gone. We will work within community together. We will be on one accord with one another. This is a place of professionalism. And if you can't be professional and you can't show up and you're spreading rumors and gossiping and on your phone more than you are doing your job. We hired you to do a job. We didn't hire you to be on your phone. And then people get all offended. Well, I'm going to the union because I can't do what I want. People didn't hire you to do what you wanted. And I understand there's a union that takes care of people and stuff, all that other stuff. But people also need to have a backbone to say, you cannot do this. This is work. This is a place of professionalism. We're going to walk you through the process and we're going to let you go. If you don't like working here or the people that you work with, go. I think too many people are afraid of feelings. Too many people, I don't want to hurt their feelings. And then you end up having a bigger hole to get out of. More dominoes fall because somebody couldn't be accountable. Can you be accountable? Let me see. We might do this on the whim here. I know that I got some videos sent to me while I've been on this podcast. Let's see. Oh, here's the other thing. There's videos of people starting fires. Like there's video of people starting fires in LA. And there's video and audio of police chiefs getting calls saying we need backup because there's people, citizens, that are going to the locations of the fires and looting the homes of the people who have evacuated. Where is the personal leadership over yourself? Where is your morals and values? How sad is that people are leaving and their houses may not even get burnt down, but they've left, they listened, and then you have people that are looting. So no wonder why there's people staying to try to save their home or stop things from happening. Crazy to me. Let's see. So a reporter goes to the mayor of Los Angeles as she's at the airport. I don't know if she's at the airport coming back or she's landed in LAX and she's at that terminal, but she's outside. Or excuse me, you can tell she's in the tunnel coming out of the plane or going into the plane.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Can you back up, please? Appreciate it.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens?
I'm only letting it go halfway. There's still another 30 seconds. But how do you have nothing to say? Leaders have to show up. Even if you don't know what to say, leaders need to be honest. You know what, right now, Mr. Reporter, I'm speechless. You're right, I have nothing to say. I'm in utter shock right now. Speak your mind. My town is on fire right now. My city is on fire right now, and I'm not where I needed to be. Yes, I took a trip to Africa or wherever she was, and I want to get back. My people need me. I mean, I don't know what America can do, right? Whether male or female, I don't know that they're going to be able to put on a backpack or water pack and go and save the day all themselves. You know, Superman going and with lasers on their eyes and taking care of everything and call on the Fantastic Four and, you know, have Iceman come and freaking put out all these fires. Like, yeah, no, let's be real. A mayor can't necessarily do anything physically. Like, if I am the CEO of a company, if I'm the president of a company, the director of a company, a manager of a department of whatever, yeah, I may not have all the answers and I may not be the solution, but people want to hear from you. John Maxwell talks about leaders don't need to be just heard, they need to be seen. Well, in this case, she's seen, not where she should be, but she is where she is. But then she's seen but not heard because she's not even opening up her mouth. Like, Juan, what would you do in that situation? The unfortunate timing of my trip. I'm not a fortune teller. I didn't know that Los Angeles was going to catch on fire, but this is what I will tell you. I am on my way back immediately. Look at the camera. Camera, come over here. Look at my face. And then I look straight into the camera and say, the people of Los Angeles, I'm sorry. Yes, I know that I didn't start the fires, but I'm coming. And every resource in every neighboring city, whatever it takes, you will be here to help out what we need. I'm going to get briefed. I'm going to get on the phone now. I'm going to find out what's happening. I'm going to find out what we're missing. I want to talk to locals and find out what they need. But I am going to do my damnedest to find out why X, why Y, and why Z. And I ask her, do you regret cutting the budget of the fire department by whatever, how many million? Man, if you don't have nothing to say, I wonder if that's guilt that's shutting your mouth or if you're scared. Like, just speak up, man. We made a whole lot of budget cuts, and yes, the fire department was one of them. You best believe we're rolling that back like yesterday. And people are going to argue, well, it's too late now. Oh, fine, it's too late. But this won't happen again at this size, at this magnitude. But how do you stand there in leadership and not have one word to say? Golly, leaders. In time of crisis, if you don't know what to say, then say it. I'm speechless. This situation, literally, cat's got your tongue, the situation's got my tongue. I'm just thinking, I have all these worries in my head of like, these families, these homes, children not going to be able to go to school, the air quality for people, we already have high homelessness. Do these people have anywhere to go? I mean, my mind is going 110 miles an hour. Man, I'd be lying if I was to say I know exactly what to do right now. I don't. There's literally a billion ideas that are coming to my head. I have a billion questions. I ask you to give me some time to think. Follow me. You want to get into the motorcade and you want to see me walk through the process. That's fine. I don't. You ever been so pissed off where you turn your head and you grind your teeth and you're like, what is that movie? Is it Friday After Next or Next Friday? Is it Next Friday or Friday After Next? Where that one guy's like, say one more thing. Say one more. And he's like, like, how are you not just so frustrated to be like, yeah, you're right. I don't know what to say. I'm not there. Like any mother or father who gets a call that says something happened to your daughter, something happened to your son or daughter, you feel helpless. Leaders need to show up. Leaders need to be heard. Leaders need to be seen. And it's sad that there's a mayor out there that has stayed quiet. There is another thing that I saw on here that I want to show. Here we go.
The good news is I'm a great-grandfather as of today.
So they're at a press conference and they're talking about all the needs and the fires and stuff. And then he says, talk about good news. I became a grandfather today. So thousands of people have lost their homes. I don't know if there's any people dead yet. Hopefully there's not. And he's talking about he became a great grandfather today, or a grandfather, whatever it was. The good news is, that's the good news. People lost everything. The good news is I became a great grandfather today. That's great news. Go tell the people who've lost everything that. Now's not the time for that. And this is the reason why I say this, because he does this a lot. And if you've heard me speak before, I talk about this thing when it comes to leadership. When we ask people, how are you doing? Hey, how's your day going? And your employee says, oh man, it's been so tough. I had school and then I had this and then I had to pick up my son or my daughter to go do this and a doctor's appointment. And sorry, I'm late and it's been so hectic. And you're like, oh my gosh, me too. I had a long day. I did this. I had school. I got pulled over. No, it's not about you. You ask the question. How are you doing? Leaders should not turn it right back on themselves. I make the joke, and my sister might hear this conversation and this podcast, and I use her in this example too. I go, there's times where I call my sister and I'll say, and my whole thing is like, hey, did you see this? Or I have a question for you. And it's me calling her to ask her a question. And before I can even get the question off, the conversation goes in her favor and she starts asking me all kinds of stuff and telling me a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm like, I don't have the time. Like I called you to get a quick answer. And so there's times where I have to preface like, hey, I have 30 seconds. I have a question. Do you know about X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, so the funny joke or the thing that I say is like, how did this get turned around to your conversation? Like, this is supposed to be my conversation. I called you. How did this? So when we talk about empathy, right? We want our leaders to have empathy. How was your day? You're asking the question. You sit and you listen to their day. And if they're having a hard time, you don't go and try to make it quote unquote relatable and go, oh my gosh, me too. So yesterday I did this. And the other person's like, wait a minute, you just asked me how I was doing. And now we're talking about your day. Like that's not how it goes. And I've seen this happen from the president, and especially when there is someone who's in our military who passes away. And this is near and dear to my heart because of the military stuff that I've done, the deployments that I've done, and people's lives that have been lost. But you see him at these press conferences and he says, you know, my son Bo passed away in military, and he turns it around on them. This is their funeral. This is their mourning. This is their situation. You can't talk about your son, who you said died in war, which he didn't. He died of cancer. Sad, yes. But it's not about, hey, how are you doing? Well, my son. No, stop turning it around on you. This fire situation, he does it again. You are mourning. You are having issues and problems because all of your prized possessions are gone. And you're going to say, hey, and the good news is I became a great grandfather today. It's not about you. It's about what are you going to do with this situation? Like my hope was this, in those situations with the military personnel that passed away, find out, did your son or daughter have any debt? Take care of their debt. I don't want them to have debt. take care of the funeral expenses. Have you guys eaten? Find a meal train at local churches, whatever, that will make sure that this family doesn't have to lift a finger for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You make sure that that there's privacy, that there's no news cameras around. Like, after I'm done here, get them out of here. Let these people mourn. Get them out. Make sure that there's no news media at their homes. Secure them for how long do you need security for? Like, whatever it takes, take care of your people. It's not about you. Golly, it just frustrates me why we have leaders out here that want to make it about you. It's not about you. Congratulations, your great-grandfather. Awesome for your kid's kid. You have thousands of people that have lost everything. And more than likely, insurance companies who is rumored to say that they've lost their fire coverage months ago. Don't know if that's absolutely true. Maybe there's one. Why can't you say, as president of the United States, insurance companies, you will insure all these people, but it's going to be billions of dollars. Yeah, we have money. We will reimburse you for all this stuff, whatever it takes. It seems like you're printing money anyways, and it's going everywhere else. If you look at what we spend money on as a government for studies of stuff, it's ridiculous. Putting rats on cocaines and on rats on cocaine and birds to see if they do this, and frogs, and bro, put that money to people who need it. It's not about you. Leaders, when it comes to empathy, you are to actively listen. Watch their body language. Listen to the fluctuation of their words. Watch their body language. What do you guys need from me? Money's not an option. I mean, money's not an issue. What do you all need? Take care of it. Whoever, take care of it. It's just so frustrating that we have leaders in our state. We have leaders in our government. We have leaders that are fire captains, fire chiefs, police captains, whatever. People who do the front lines of anything. Doctors, nurses, police officers, teachers, administrators. Hold the line when it comes to accountability. Leaders should not just be heard, they need to be seen. And when you're seen, you better have something to say. Don't try to connect the dots and point the finger at whose fault it is. Here are the solutions. I don't care what it takes. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to find out. The people I stand with you, leadership has always fascinated me. The lack thereof, the different leadership styles. I just don't understand how leaders can't show up, can't say anything. There's no empathy. We point fingers. If you've been a governor for 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, however long it is, senator, mayor, president, vice president, manager, director, employee, president, CEO, whoever, if you don't know how to be empathetic, if you don't know how to show up, if you don't know what to say, if you don't know how to take responsibility, if you only can point fingers and show out the problems and not the solutions, then maybe that's not a position for you. And maybe people need to ask you to leave or get you to leave. Got a little worked up, maybe a little controversial. That's what we like as a people, right? You want a story. Any good news or bad news is still news. Some people do it for clout. Some people do it for clicks. Some people do it for comments. I'm sure I'm going to get a whole bunch of comments. It's okay. There's going to be some follows from here. There's going to be some unfollows from here. That's okay. It's not what I do it for. My hope is that as a leader of yourself, a leader of your family, a leader of friends, a leader of work, the leader of businesses, whatever it is, be solution-based. Stop pointing fingers. Be the solution. Bring solutions. Talk about the solutions. Speak life. Have empathy. Show up. Speak up. And lead. Have accountability. The ability to account for what took place. And if you can't account for what took place, some things need to change. If you've had an ongoing issue and problem for years, how come you have not addressed it? People need to start asking questions of their leaders. Leaders need to make some changes, or else the people will. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. We're not done yet. Might have been a long podcast. I don't know where we are as far as time is concerned, but I will tell you this. Having questions of, well, then how do I become a better leader? How do I change? What do I need to do? Next podcast after this is going to be with a gentleman by the name of John Carroll. John Carroll talks about how do we bring in the right people? How do we hire the right people? How do we lead the right way? I love the way that he brings people into his organization. There's almost like pre-work that you have to do before you join his organization. I absolutely love it. Probably hands down one of my top 5 favorite podcasts, might be like top 3. But the way he goes about recruiting or hiring people, I love it. And then after that, one of my other top 3 or top 2 even is going to be with a gentleman named John Kidwell. John Kidwell has an organization called Leadwell, and I told him that I believe that you are the next John Maxwell. He's so great. His heart is great for leadership. He's very empathetic, straight to the point, has a soft but powerful voice when it comes to leadership. I need to have him on again. And then that's going to conclude this season. Maybe another solo podcast in there. Sorry, not sorry for getting worked up. Leaders that show up, if you have any questions about how to be a leader, or what's next, or how do I up my leadership, check out John Carroll and John Kidwell on the next podcast to come. Thank you so much. Peace out. We'll see you in the next episode.